welcome. We are having all kinds of conversations today. We don't know where it's going to go. We're going to talk about some things that we've recently seen in videos, things we have gotten from our guides, and whew, who knows where we're going to go with this conversation. So it's very open, guided, and just let things go because my friend, oh, she activates me so much. I'm telling you, like,
And you
uh,
me.
I tell you. So this is Angie,
Hello.
my soul sister, true soul sister. We activate each other on a deep level that I can never ever put into words, and that's how I know that we are connected on higher dimensions. And tell us, how do we actually meet? I was actually going back to this, like, how did you find me? Because I can't remember. I know we did a session, but like, you're in Florida. How did
Mhm.
you come across me?
Online, I was on, I think it was one of the QHHT, like I was looking for, I don't know, I was looking for something or I was scrolling and I saw your advertisement. Like you had a ad for your thing and you said that and you were practicing. So
That's okay. Because
yeah, and
I was thinking actually like a couple of days ago, I'm like, how did she find me? Because I normally advertise like in just the Tennessee area. And
mhm.
then I thought, how did I? So it must have been like one of those pages that we got guided to cross paths. Like we became friends
Yeah.
from a weird page that we were guided to, I guess.
Uh-huh. Yes.
That is
Um,
so crazy.
yeah. So that was how.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Oh, I'm doing this." And I don't know, it was something about what you had to say. I probably looked up whatever you wrote and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that drew
Yeah.
me to you too. So,
That's so wild.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just thinking back, like, because we did it in was it December or January? January, wasn't it?
I don't even remember.
God, we've almost known each other a year.
I feel like we've known each other for like
Oh,
100 years.
we have, because we worked together in the astral, which is so crazy. Oh my God, we're about to talk about that dream recently that I've had that she and I did,
Yeah.
but we do stuff
Hmm.
together all the time in the astral. I know you're always there by my side. Um, so yeah, that's kind of like how we met. Was we I did a session on her back, I think it was January, the very first time we met, and I'm telling
Probably.
you, for us to not know each other, literally, I think our first conversation, and like, I was just, I don't know how I know you, but I know you. It was just like that. Like we
Yeah.
talked forever. I think
Yes.
we spent like 5, 6 hours
I
together.
think we did.
And then
It was so good though. It was so like I don't know, it was so rich in
yes.
like remembering or something. Remember
Yeah,
it was rich
it
in
was.
remembering. So
Your session was probably the only session I've ever done that the entire session was done on a ship in a healing chamber. Like,
I remember that so vividly. Yeah.
never have I ever had any other client ever be in that space for that long. It was so cool. And you're probably the first client that I had that I was like there with you. And I, even now, just thinking back to your session, which is so vivid even in my head, I wasn't even there with you, but I felt like I saw everything that you saw, which was so deep for
Oh,
me.
mhm.
It's
Because
just,
you're there with me.
yeah, it was
Like
so wild.
literally. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
And what solidified our connection in another dimension was I've had a dream, and that dream was something that you saw. Was it in a meditation or was that part of the session? I think it was part of the session that we were, because we were asking like how we were connected, and they brought up,
It was a vision.
yeah,
I remember that vision. You were
and
on the ship looking at me, and I just got sister. Like you're my sister.
yes,
Put
eh,
it together. Hmm.
so wild, and I feel that so deeply with you. So I just had a recent dream, and I'm starting to question this. Okay, So I had this dream, and then like all this stuff happened, and it had to do with a kid that I've actually taught in this lifetime, but he didn't look like himself. So it was like I guess a parallel. I'm not sure. I told him whenever maybe he was younger or something. That's what I felt like. And then I watched him grow. I don't even know why. I got invited to his birthday party. Don't know how, but I remember being in the swimming pool. And in the swimming pool, like everybody got out, and it's like we're in the city. Like I see tall buildings, and all of a sudden, in between these two high risers, there's this beautiful pink, hot pink, fuchsia looking cloud. And I was like, oh my God, that is so pretty. I love pink. And then right behind it was this black, um, thick cloud, but it was sparkly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost like diamond looking, like it had facets on it or whatever. Um, Anyways, like the pink cloud, and I was mesmerized by the pink. And it came over, and then it came like on top of me. And then, like I said, everybody got out of the pool, and I was like, what is everybody afraid of? And so the pink kind of fell through me. And then next thing I know, the black cloud is on top of me. And then the black cloud, and I'm still kind of in awe because all of the lights, right? Like it's
Yeah.
twinkling and like opal colors and stuff. And I'm like, why is everybody so afraid? But the next thing I know, like it's pushed me under the water, and it where it was a cloud, it becomes a solid, and I'm like under the water, and it's trying to like drown me. And I see a hand reach and grab me and pull me out from under. And I didn't see you, but the first thing I said was, oh my God, Angie just saved me. So you pull me out.
Mm-hmm.
And I've literally like went back and forth about what in the world does that mean? And I'm starting to think like, is that kind of like how this happened? Like the pink represented the love, the unconditional love that we once had. And then there comes the false matrix
I
with
got I
all,
got the goosebumps because as you were describing the dream, that was what I got, was that was the matrix and the heaviness of the vibration that has descended upon the earth.
yes,
That's what I got
yes.
when you were describing it.
And it literally came to me, I don't know if it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday that this actually made sense. And I'm like, why did you show me that? Because I asked a question about J seals, but they showed
Yes.
me this for some reason. And I was like, is that related? I don't know. But it was literally like showing me like how we started out with this love energy. And I really resonated with the pink. And I was like, oh gosh, I just love this. And then that black, but it looked so twinkly. And I think that was like signifying how they made it look so good.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And I was like,
Like,
oh,
mhm.
it's diamonds, and it's just sparkly and very intriguing. And I mean, it was on top of me trying to kill me. And I was still like, wow.
Right. Right.
And then,
Yeah.
and literally, it was just like, get your butt out from under there. And you ripped me out from under the leg, and then I don't know what else happened after that. Other stuff happened, but I was just like, wow, that was intense. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Like, wake up, pull you out. Wake
yeah.
up.
And it's almost like I almost was feeling, that was how a lot of us got trapped.
Mm,
Because you start talking about, this false matrix and how everybody started looping, and then we got trapped here because
yeah.
this right here looked so fascinating. It's
Yes.
like, yeah, I don't know, we could go deep down that rabbit hole, but some things that I really want to kind of chit chat about was this thing about light workers that we've discovered, and how um we've got like these three types of light workers, and everybody goes into labels. And Lord, if you ever do a session with these high dimensional beings, they hate labels. They're like, you humans and your labels.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a 3D mind will say a label is a great way to keep everything organized, but a label actually creates chaos because It's
And division.
3D and it creates division. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Precisely what it's there for. So, light worker, if you work with light, you're consciously working with light, unconsciously working with light, you're a light worker, right? And we were just chatting about like the levels, like, are you working with, what was the I know there's one that works with the light, consciously works with the light, is like the leader. um like they call them the forerunners, they're
Yeah, the
just.
forerunner.
And then
Then
you've got, what was the lower
the
one?
bridge, and then the anchor.
The anchor. Yeah,
Yeah.
so those who are like more anchoring in the, what would you say, that like the grid work, or the
Well,
grounding frequencies,
yeah,
what?
they were anchoring the higher vibrational light. But the lowest one was the ones that hold the density of the matrix to the earth, but in a way, I think to show us to be able to shift the timeline. I
Mm-hmm.
forgot. I forgot how she explained it, but it made more
Yeah.
sense when seeing the lower the people who are in victim mode, the people who are in a narcissistic mode, or holding all the dense looping vibration of why me, it's not my fault, it's his fault, you know.
Mm-hmm.
um, and it was their way of holding the density of the matrix for us to be able to shift it,
Yeah.
to shift the timeline, I
Mm-hmm.
think, out of the density of the matrix.
Yeah. And we were also talking about that, how I feel that I think I was more of like the go between, because I felt like I was doing a lot of work with Gaia, and like, I would go into the dead city, but then I would feel like I was running a marathon, but then I'd go back into the dead city and then I'd go back and run a marathon. Like, I think I was the bridge. And do you remember the session that we did, Angie, where they were talking about you need to bridge in new earth frequency? I think they were telling us then that we were bridges. Remember that?
Sort of. I sort of do.
Because they
I
kept, yeah,
Go ahead.
they were
Yeah.
saying something like, y'all need to consciously imagine connecting your heart into the new earth, and pull it here. So pulling that in, you need to bridge in the new earth frequency into the now space. And so there for a while, like, that was what I was just consciously doing. Every time I thought about it, it would come in my mind like, Bridget, I would imagine that my heart was reaching out into the new earth space and
Yes.
pulling it
Okay.
in.
I remember now because my guides speak in this language using the words vortex and portal and light and all this. So they were showing me how to create this portal.
Mm-hmm.
First, you create the vortex with your thoughts, your feelings. This is how we create our world and how we think about things. We create this vortex of what basically we want, what we see, what we'd like to have in our lives, and we then bring it into our heart space, which creates a portal, and then that shows you what you've created. And then when you go into that space, it becomes a part of your energy.
Mm.
And so that is a bridge.
Yeah.
That is their way of telling me. They don't show me an actual bridge, but
Yeah.
that's their way of showing me that's the bridge from where I'm at to where I want to go.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. So there
yeah.
for a while, I can't remember how long I really focused in on that. And it was just like, I would imagine, you know, because I've been to New Earth many times in sessions, and
Yeah.
so like I remember what it looks like, so I can tap into that beautiful planet, what it looks like, and then I just imagine, pulling it back into me. And I did that for a while. So that was kind of cool to think about, them actually saying like, you're bridging in the new earth frequency. So I thought it was cool. Um,
Yeah.
but weirdly enough, and I've even said this on a lot of my TikTok videos, but like I feel the last 2 months for me has been a huge shift internally. And they pretty much have like, I haven't done a whole lot of sessions. I haven't done, I've done like some here and there, I guess you can say, but it was just more or less like focus on you, focus on you, focus on you, focus on you. And in this time, I went almost a whole month on vacation. So I was not even home. So that gave me like, that way I couldn't really get into like advertising and doing stuff. I was always on the go. I didn't know where I was going to be at for a whole month. And then Helene happened. And then they got me back to the beach where I did more work. And everywhere I've been going, I've literally been working. So like I went to Chattanooga, I had to do work. I went to South Carolina to my where I grew up and had to do work. And then went to the Atlantic again at Myrtle Beach in South Carolina and I did work. And you know, it's weird, like you go on vacation, but yeah, it's like, man, I come home, I have to take a vacation from my vacation. But it's a lot of
Right.
energy work, and being conscious when you're doing the work, it's just like you don't realize that that's actually showing us how we are these light workers because when you're doing it consciously and it's like I don't even know what I'm doing. I just hear like do this, try that, and I've always just done what I've been guided to do, what feels right. I mean, you have to use your discernment, but I've been doing this for so long now. Like I know whenever it's like, I need you to do this, and sometimes it's like I know I was out in Atlantic Ocean, working with crystals and I literally had to do a particular pose. And I was like, man, I got out in the deep because I was like, I don't want people to see what I'm doing. And I'm standing out there in the middle of the ocean, just like doing my thing. And like, and I'm using my heart space and like, saying what's coming in my mind and activating and all this stuff. And I'm just like, wow, if people around me could like see things, I would be like, what the heck is she doing?
Yeah, but in doing that, you're unknowingly activating the people around you as well, you
That's
know.
true. Yeah.
So the as we're speaking about the light workers who are actively doing things take the time, um and some who don't even know they're doing it, but the light workers who are actually like consciously using their energy to do healing like that are are being activated themselves from source, from their cosmic family, from usually those places. So you're getting that activation so that you can activate the light everywhere around you. So, and when
Yeah.
you're focusing on that certain point, like you were when you went, to the beach and stuff, there's a concentration of that light being poured out in that area. So that's affecting everyone around you and
Yeah. You don't
everything
think about it like that. Yeah.
around you. Yeah.
It's
So,
so cool. It's so cool. I swear.
mm-hmm.
And I even saw things that I never saw before. Because normally, you go to the beach, and this is whenever I went to Hilton Head. Usually you see like a crap ton of seagulls. I did. I saw. Oh my gosh, what are they called? They have the big.
Oh, pelicans.
Yes, there
Yeah.
are pelicans everywhere, and I'm like, wow. I've been here in at this time and I've never seen this many. And I mean, they were just all around me. They were just
Mm-hmm.
swarming and diving in. And, you know,
Ah,
I've never seen this amount of fish, like the little silver fish. I don't know what they're called, but they would come and they would just swim around me. Like they would come in swarms and I would be in the middle. I'd have them in front and behind me,
yeah.
like swimming through me. And I'm like, whoa, this is weird. I don't want those birds to come diving at me. They never did, but they got close. I mean, they were just like, "Oh, you're fine. Like, do your thing. I'm gonna do my thing," And there were just huge pelicans like diving into the water and stuff. I'm like, "Whoa, this is insane." But yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
learned a lot from that trip, from the Hilton Head trip. That was right after Helene happened, and I was guided to work with Milton, and oh gosh, the stuff that I even, and it was so weird. Um, I even saw myself, and I don't even know what I was doing, but they were like, so right before it hit, they had me go into the cloud, and I was literally, and this is, I don't know what, they had me to go up and like this, and I was putting holes
Mm-hmm.
in the cloud, in the
Mm-hmm.
storm, and I was doing this, and I was, so it had like all these holes, so it was like breaking it up, I guess.
Yeah.
But I was doing like this, and I kept going up and down, and there was a lot more like shooting light to it. And as I was going through, I was saying, you know, we love you, and like sending like love frequency into this thing, going up and down like that. It was the weirdest
Yeah.
thing. And it was like I was just chopping up that storm. And then, you know, you're like, I don't know if that was real. You know, like parts of you, and that's bad because we really should not be doubting ourselves, right? So it's more about standing in our power and accepting the fact that, you know, yeah, we did do some stuff. Um, but just we're doing it more in the conscious state.
Uh-huh.
And I had been working on it for a couple of, like, since I got to the beach. I think I worked with that storm. I had saw somebody put it online, and I was like, whoa. Automatic went into, I'm like, yeah, that's they're starting fear because they want us to manifest this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what happened? People were like, oh my gosh, it's coming, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, people were feeding it, and it was just getting bigger and bigger because the fear was just getting more and more. And I knew then, I was like, I just knew I had to do something about it. And that's whenever I just started listening. And I was like, why didn't we do this for Helene? You know?
Yeah, well, and the light workers who are in the middle of the storm are like, I wasn't afraid at all, but I was
Mm-hmm.
in preparation mode because you don't have time to stop and meditate. I have to go and I got to get moving. Like, I
Right.
got to work. I got to think about, like, I got to make sure I got water. I got to make sure I got gas. I got to make sure I got my generator running. I got all this stuff that I'm
Yeah.
thinking about in case there's catastrophe
Right.
altogether. So I didn't have time. I was not afraid. I was just in go mode to the
Right.
point where after 5 days of no electricity and the electricity finally came on, I was like, oh my God. I
Mm-hmm.
just, I wanted to crash.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that, that too, like that, I don't know. That is something that makes me see, like, you see how big that storm was and how many people it affected and how it came right over us in a place that it never came over before. But yet the light workers who could be there to help try to stop it, or try to spread their light like you did, or
Mm-hmm.
activate in that moment, were basically disarmed
Mm-hmm.
because of the the perpetual nature of it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I I tell you, it's been very humbling and very eye-opening because like I said, I asked because I used to live in Western North Carolina. I was where it hit, I was right in the middle of all that.
Yeah.
Where my son used to live in Asheville, where it got hit the hardest, he lived in an apartment complex like right there. And I had another friend. She's a nurse, and she used to live there too, and so she would have been affected, but she got guided, and all three of us got guided out, which is so, you know, it's like, wow, thank goodness we listened to our intuition of leaving.
Yeah.
Um, and what I asked, because I was like, you know, here I am doing all this energy work with Milton. Why didn't I do that with Helene? And they were like, it wasn't supposed to be.
Mhm.
You know, there are more reasons. It was for the timeline, for
Yeah.
people. This was used for like an awakening. This was used to actually show truths. So this was disclosure. Because
Mhm.
when disaster hit so bad, where was the government? You
Yeah.
know, like they saw a lot. And the crazy thing
Yeah.
is, like, all the focus was put on Western North Carolina, but when I went to South Carolina, Georgia looked horrible. Like it was other places that were devastated. It wasn't just Western North
Right.
Carolina. And people forgot about all the other people, you know. And I find it, you know, I don't find any coincidences, but the way that we got guided to go to Hilton Head, it took us 12 hours to get there when normally it takes 6.
Wow.
And as we were going through, I was just looking at all the devastation and I'm just like, wow. And, you know, sending out as much, you know, light that I could in that darkness. And it was literally like they were showing me where like the darkness path was, if you can imagine. And the
Yeah.
weird thing is, I saw that in a vision already. The way that the trees were just laid like this,
Yeah.
and I've already seen that. And I was like, holy crap, I've seen that already. And so I was like, oh my gosh, is this what you were trying to show me? I mean, I've never seen trees bend like that. Like they weren't even broken, they were just literally
Yeah.
like bent.
We still have trees bent like that here. Like you go down the
Yeah,
street and you're like, oh, it's
it's
weird
so crazy.
still.
Like, how does it do that?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what, you know, when I tapped into Gaia about that, and it was like, oh no, there is a lot more good that came out of that. It showed people that they can come together, you
Well,
know.
as when I finished saying that, there I feel them telling me, they're like, no, you helped one another. Like you know, yes, we were here, but without electricity, but we all came together. We all, my
Mm-hmm.
whole neighborhood, like we came together and we laughed and we had fun and we tried to dissipate the heaviness of it all, and we helped
Yeah.
each other out. We had meals together, all of us. We just,
Yep.
and that would have never happened otherwise. We helped each
Mm-hmm.
other clean up. we
Mm-hmm.
we worked together
Yep.
with everything. So
Yeah.
that, I mean, I guess that was just part of what I believe is the solidification and the anchoring in
Ooh, I just got chills. Mm-hmm.
of the light timeline shift to, no matter what is going on, we come together as people.
Yep.
And so that just solidified this timeline shift that we were talking about too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was like a confirmation, like to the light, to say, okay, they're ready.
Yes. Yes. And
And
I
I think that
think,
happened in North Carolina as well with
yeah.
Helene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and whenever I started looking at the chakras for Gaia, and I saw that, you know, North America is the throat chakra, and that the East Coast, all the way into the Appalachian Mountains, where I'm close to right now, that's where I used to live, that is the vocal cords for Gaia. And I'm just like, holy crap. Like, and it's almost as if, and I know this is so crazy, but like I felt like these last few storms, and I know that we can go negative if we allow it, but like it almost feels like Gaia is clearing her throat. You know, if you
Yeah,
like if you imagine,
that makes sense.
you
Total
know, it's
sense.
like
Yes.
she's clearing her energy, she's doing her work because we have done all this thing to her, and she's having to wake up like we are, and she's like you know, you can feel the vocal cords like doing its thing. And that's why the whole East Coast, you know, is affected from all of this stuff. And yes, it looks bad. And yes, there's ulterior motives. There's also so much at play that we don't really know and understand about. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're able to tap in and go, okay, all right, I want to know the higher perspective. You know, I can go on the human level, the 3D level, and see like all of this manipulation and da 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 da. But like, what is the goal here? Because I know that they stop a lot of stuff, right? And then why did they stop certain things? Like you can go back to like Lahaina. Like,
Yes.
why was that so devastating? You know,
Yep.
and we still got forest fires going out west, but people don't talk about that because it doesn't affect us, right? So things have to happen in our areas. What I feel like things have to happen close enough to home for it to resonate. Because you're like, oh yeah, you know, that's out west, you know, that's them. And of course they come together and do their thing,
Yeah.
you know. So certain things have to happen, I feel, all over the planet to wake us up enough to go, do you still care about humanity? Let's just kind of test y'all, you know? and Gaia's doing her thing to help facilitate some things. And as it looks like it's bad on the outside, there's things that's happening on the inside.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there because some of that stuff, it's like, why did it happen once but not allowed to happen again? So that's kind of what I tap into. It's a
Well,
lot of her
we're
stretching.
working on our fourth hurricane coming through now to
Mm,
Florida next week.
yeah.
So I'm not sure what kind of tests Florida needs, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's,
you
oh,
gotta think too. I mean, those, I don't know if it'll get flagged if I say what they are, but the equipment that's used is out there in the ocean. So of course y'all are gonna get hit first. And you got what? There's one in the Gulf and one out there in the Atlantic. So I mean, no matter where they want to send it, y'all are at the pinpoint because y'all stick out further. But that's just, I mean, and you're surrounded by water all the way around, so it's just like,
but never has this, well, I don't know the statistics, but four in like a matter of a month is
mm-hmm.
like crazy. I don't know that that's ever happened before.
Well, the other thing it makes you go into is like, you can go down a rabbit hole of where's all the celebrities live, like
Mm,
you pinpoint houses.
yeah.
um I don't really want to go down that road too deep, but you can go down that road of like who lives on these Gulf sides and Atlantic sides, and there are some ports there that are tied to some very important
Yes.
people and things that are being exposed right now with certain celebrities.
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like they might need to cover up some of
That's a
their
good point.
stuff,
That's a good point. Yeah.
you
I didn't
know,
think about that.
and that's why I'm like, we're gonna stop it. So I'm telling you all, light workers, we're gonna stop this next one too. Like, they think they got us. No, they're gonna find what they need to find because I feel like it's a cover up.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing. They are going to find whatever they need to find, no matter hurricane or no hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
So just
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
Like,
But
let's rip the band-aid off.
it feeds the dark side, like they love
Oh,
the
yeah.
fear. It's all
Yes.
about that fear, and they're starving because there's so much. So going back to this shift. So um, you know, not to get into politics or nothing like that, but I will say, because I've been very neutral. I'll say that I've been very neutral. I've been guided to stay neutral because I knew that either way, and this I feel deeply within my heart, either way, it was going to be the best timeline for humanity. So I was feeling into one would have been a slow progression of disclosure, and one is going to be ripping the band aid off. I would have preferred the band-aid if I had a choice in the matter, but I was told we have to go with what humanity is ready for. So I stay neutral. I was like, whatever happens is going to be for the greater good of where we need to be in order for things to progress, right? Because man, I want this ascension to come. I'm all for it. So whatever we need. Did not know any results. I woke up the morning of results. Again, I have not looked, and I felt so different. I felt high. I was like, oh my gosh, the grass looks greener, and it's cold here, so the grass is really not that green. But it was just like everything was vibrant, everything felt different. I was so happy, so excited, so elated. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, I love this excitement, but I know it's coming from somewhere. So what is going on? Did humanity just shift? Did we just shift? That's what it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going on. I'm like, all right, y'all, tell me the things. What do I need to know? Here I'm scrolling, can't even talk, scrolling through, so excited, right? And there it is, like the Schumann resonance just showing off the charts, not just a thin streak of white, right? It was this thick streak of white. And I was like, that is what I just felt. And then I've got friends that, work with psychic mediums, and, they remote view. I've got all kind of friends that I follow, and they we're like, oh my gosh, I have a message for humanity. We are on a higher timeline than they thought we would be at this
Mm-hmm.
time. I was like, holy crap. I don't know what we did. I don't know how we did it, but by gosh, this is awesome. Right. So this is perpetuating. I feel like, and again, it doesn't matter who's in, whatever. I feel that the way that we are all coming together, I feel there are more light workers coming online consciously, because we're all
Mm-hmm.
light workers, but a lot were doing it in sleep state, and they were very unconscious and still carrying the burden. And for those of you that watch this, if you feel in the slump, if you feel like there is no light at the end of the tunnel, you are carrying all the density. And guess what? You can use your free will and say, I surrender. Give it all up. Let it all go, because it's not your burden to carry. The crazy thing is, the Galactics turned off the Matrix a long time ago. You know what we're dealing with? The programming that was left behind. This is the mental prison. And so when you become conscious and you step out of that, that's when you become free, because we've already been freed. We have to now come into that remembrance that we're free. That was the most biggest epiphany that I've gotten, is that there is no control. Now they're still feeding on our energy because they love the fear and whatever. They don't want to lose that ability, because they know it's coming. They know ascension's happening, and they're holding on to every last little bit that they can. But it's just like that false matrix that we were living under. They've gotten us to the point of such deep manipulation that we imprisoned ourselves, which was the whole point. you know
Yes.
Ugh.
And like I said earlier, our our beliefs and our thoughts are what is going to dismantle the illusion that we are stuck under this well, I say false light because it's like a false matrix, because um this event that happened on November 5th was the coming together um of people who made a choice. And whether or not you believe one way or the other, there people are speaking through their feelings and their thoughts through their vote. And it just was like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just that was the timeline shift, because people have had enough. Now, whether or not you choose to discern between the two, it's completely up to you, and that's your free will.
Right.
And nobody's condemning you for that.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a way to the light. There's a way to discern between the light and the dark, and it was clear. It was
Mm-hmm.
clear down the road, like which one is which. And it's up to you to discern between your own belief system and what you've been told, and how you can become a sovereign being with your own thoughts and your own belief systems, and how those basically create your world.
Right.
So that's totally up to you, and you can stay in your world over here, or you can stay in your world over here and figure that out. But there was a defining day, and that was November 5th. And that my guides have told me this for a really long time. And
That's so cool.
and that they told me a few days before November 5th that the light has come in to bring in basically the light towards the being in the light being in place for the movement of the rest of the world, to unite us all, so that this event that happened on November 5th was going to unite the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
So my guides told me that a few days beforehand. So
That's so
I,
cool.
yeah, um, I wasn't really worried.
Yeah.
I wasn't really worried, but at the same time, it was amazing to see
Mm-hmm.
and amazing to feel. And I didn't go to bed till 3 in the morning, but
That's what my
I,
son said.
I, I slept really good when I did fall asleep. It was, and it's been amazing ever since. It just has been
Mm-hmm.
amazing ever since. And
Yeah.
and if you're feeling, like you said, if you're feeling defeated, if you're feeling terrible, if you're feeling like it's horrible, you might want to check your discernment. You might want to check your own thoughts and your own belief systems, and like you said, surrender to
Mm-hmm.
what is the best for your highest good in this moment. Because
That's right.
even over many years that we've been dealing with the darkness on the planet, it was still up to us to discern where our highest source of light is coming from. So if we're going to connect to our highest selves, we have to embody that,
Mm-hmm.
and and we have to c- continually every day check to see, are we connecting to our highest selves? Because if we're connecting to our highest selves, the discernment is easy. If you're not, then you're in the dark, or you're not, then maybe you're not in alignment, or you're off kilter. And so it's a meditation you do. It takes 3 minutes. Just reconnect to yourself, reconnect to your highest self, ask your highest self to join your vessel, and then allow the light to come on within you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're bringing that light to the surface, and then once you do that, your awareness changes. So, and then you might start questioning things, and then you might start wondering about things, and then you might, but, I think that is what was missing. So many people relied on other people to tell them what to do. So many
Mm-hmm.
people relied on other people to constantly, you know, follow the rules, follow this, follow that. And really, we're sovereign beings,
Mm-hmm.
and the light within us is the true self, the authentic self. And so if we start focusing on that, everything else falls into place.
That's so true. Yep. 100% agree.
So,
And it's so crazy because I heard the other day, um, when you talk about Atlantis,
mm-hmm,
um, and I've read, many Dolores Cannon books, and in Dolores Cannon, it talks about there came a point because they were fully activated, like they had all their gifts, um, they were very self-aware, and there came a point where, um, you know, in Dolores Cannon books, it said that they kind of dabbled in things that they shouldn't have, and whatever. And they basically took them down. Well, here's another perspective that I heard, and I was just like, what? So I was watching a video the other day, and it was talking about Atlantis, and it was said that Atlantis was a failed ascension attempt. Have you ever heard that? Okay. So I'll tell you what I heard, and then I'm gonna tell you something that was like a confirmation to this. So what had happened was during the Atlantis times, they were in a same boat that we're in right now. They had all of their gifts, they were fully activated, they were ready to get into their light body. This was ascension then, just like it is again now. Everything was lined up, and the archons, we'll call them the archons, the dark ones, they came and said, I know all this healing is so hard, you don't have to do that. Do you want to come with me? We'll make it better. And because humans have the program,
yeah.
has it, we want it easy, want it fast, want it now. Even that was then, we wanted easy,
Mm-hmm,
fast, and now. And they followed them, and they allowed them to engulf them again using their free will. And they're like, yes, we'll follow you, we'll follow you, we'll follow you. And that was a lesson then. Of course, it's been hidden from us. The lesson there was, this is why you have to use discernment. You
Yes.
have to come from within here. That's the problem that we're facing right now, is because we keep thinking our way through everything. That's the trap. We have to
Yep.
feel our way through everything, feel our way into truth. When you have to ask somebody, is this right? Is this wrong? Is this
Hmm.
person right? Is this person wrong? Is this method right? Is this method wrong? If you have to keep searching outside of yourself, you're defeating the purpose, because you're still stuck in the false matrix. You're
Exactly.
still stuck in your mind. Everything that is logical is 3D. You're ready to step into the 4D, 5D mentality, then there is no mental at all. It's all felt. So you feel into the next dimension. So you have to start coming here. That's what I've learned in the last 2 months. Feel from here, heal from here, because I thought my way through feelings. I had to thinking what a feeling was, thinking what my inner child needed to hear, thinking about blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that being in isolated and stop doing everything else. And I realized that me wanting to heal is also victim. I learned that. Me
Yep.
wanting to go and heal everybody is me falling victim to myself, because honestly, this is about me and my journey, and I have to save me first. You know, there's a
Hmm.
reason why they tell you on the plane, make sure you put your oxygen on first, then you help your kids. Don't
Yeah.
go and help them. You got to help yourself. So that's where we have to help ourselves. And that's what I've learned on this. So Atlantis, they fell into it. And then, of course, they're like, oh, great, they followed us. Let's do this. And we're going to wipe them out. We're going to wipe it clean. And so they don't remember.
Yes.
So that's how this happened. Do you know that there's a Disney cartoon called The Fall of Atlantis, or Atlantis? I just had this conversation with someone. They said it was the exact same storyline.
Oh, for real?
Told in,
I didn't know.
yeah, hidden in plain sight, right? Yeah, but
Wow.
they said that
Always.
the fallen Atlantis was at the North Pole or somewhere up. It was northern. But who's to say if they might not have all the truth, but that's
Right.
that's the thing I'm
Yeah.
learning too, is like, that's why spirituality has become so, like, everybody's like, oh my god, you're spiritual, you're a devil worshiper, oh my gosh, you're in the new
Right.
age, you're a devil worshiper, oh my gosh, blah blah blah, blah. And it's mainly because there is false light sprinkled throughout everything.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, religion, spirituality, new
Yeah. And
age.
people here's the thing. People have lost touch with their hearts. They've
Yes.
lost touch with inside. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
from a kid, I always thought like, what? Why is my mom making me go to church? Like, I hate this. Like, I hated sitting there looking at Jesus Christ on a cross. Because I felt like that wasn't love to me. That was
Yeah.
like a suppression, like an oppression of heavy energy, and I hated it. It didn't feel right, and that's what we're missing. Like, people aren't seeing that we're disconnected from our light. Well, I think people are like waking up to that more now,
Mm-hmm.
but to even add on to that more is to go within, like, and tap in. And if you're in a situation, no matter what it is, it's that subtle energy that you tap into, that all of a sudden you're like, wait, this doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go home and be like, why didn't that feel right? And then
Mm-hmm.
sit for a minute and discern your
Right.
choice.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't make it again, or understand why it happened or whatever. And yes, you're thinking in that moment, but it started with that feeling. And so that's
Yes.
getting us to where we need to go. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the part that's missing, was
Mm-hmm.
the connection to the feeling of what doesn't feel right about this.
And then, I mean, it kind of makes sense too, right? when you start talking about a lot of, because a lot of us light workers, and that goes into another conversation about, so a lot of us light workers we picked our parents, which is sometimes a hard pill to swallow, but we picked our parents for a reason, for this moment, right? But the thing is, when we picked our parents, we knew that we had to undergo these traumatic childhoods, and it, our parents didn't do it on purpose.
Right.
That they are only doing what they learned. So this is not about blaming, and putting guilt. that
Right.
that puts you back in victim, but it's about, they did the best they could in the moment. And you have to appreciate the fact that your job when you came here was to break that bridge of repetition, right? The trauma that they've experienced, you chose them to break that. Okay. Because that's what they did when they came here. They came here to break their parents, and it didn't work. Those are the first
Right.
waivers. And then here we are. A lot of us are second waivers, volunteers that came in and were like, we can do it. And then you see how hard it was. Most of us had breadcrumbs throughout our lives. So there was a part of us that was slowly waking up. Like, I know that I've been given stuff along the way. When I look back now, I'm like, oh, that's what they were trying to teach me when I was little. I didn't get that. Um, mine's, I had breadcrumbs whenever I was middle school, and
Yeah.
then
Same.
when I was in high school, I had to wake up at church, and then because I love church, I love people, and I love all the things, but then I started seeing things, and I'm like, why are we like this? Why do you care what someone wears to church? They are here. Why does it
Yes.
matter what they wear? And they talk so bad about them. And then,
Yeah.
when people need help, you hear, oh, you got to tithe, you got to give money. And then
Mhm.
this one person was like, listen, I need help with my light bill. One needs a light bill payment, $200, but nobody would give them money. Oh, you need to go apply for assistance.
Right.
What are you
Right.
talking about? Right? Oh my gosh. Here's another epiphany I had. So, us in the spiritual community, and when we do offer our services, there people always go, you shouldn't charge. You
Oh, I
shouldn't
know.
charge, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's where I was thinking. All right. So if you're saying that I shouldn't charge for God, I shouldn't charge for my remembrance of these things. Well, guess what? I have bills to pay too, just like you do. And if you want to go there, ooh, this is going to ruffle some feathers, but I'm about to say it. Then why do you pay your tithes to your church?
Exactly.
Because you know what? You're paying your preacher to give you God. Mm,
And you don't need
hitting
to.
it. You're hitting it there. Listen, I'm preaching today. But when you go in and you're saying, well, I'm going to give money to my preacher so he has a roof over his head and he has food on his table, you're giving money to him to give you God in your
Hmm.
church. What is the difference of me showing you the way where I teach you how to find it yourself? I'm not going to give you the answer, because my answer is my answer, but your answer is your answer.
Exactly.
And I'm just showing you how to remember how to get there.
Yeah.
So when people get so mad about that, especially in the Christian community, and they're like, you
Hmm.
shouldn't charge for God. Well, you do the same thing to your church. You give money to your person to give you whatever it is that you're seeking. You're seeking outside of self, right?
Yes.
But where does it lead you? That's the
Hmm.
question. Where does it lead you? And I've always questioned, like, okay, well, I was always told you can't question God. But, you
But
know,
that's a belief that's been put on you. But are you
yeah,
thinking for yourself? Or are you still thinking for what you were taught as a child? So
exactly.
what feels right?
But I've always said, this is when I was little, even whenever I was like really gung ho, and I was like, but, because in my mind, this is the picture painted. God was a man that sat on a throne up in the sky, watching down with us with his big old eyeball, seeing us,
Right.
um, so two things came out. One, I was like, well, how can this loving God be all nice one minute? You know, you hear in the beginning of the
Yep.
Bible, and then all of a sudden he's fire and
And
brimstone
vengeance.
and yeah, and I'm like, whoa, God's bipolar. Okay, that was my first thought. And I always thought that I'm like, why is he happy sometimes and then angry sometimes? But
Oh
then,
yeah.
but then my human mind goes, well, that's how we are and we're and is okay. Maybe that's why, right? Like still, but I was questioning it, right? But then the other thing was, if I can ask my earthly father questions and that's how I grow, why can't I ask my heavenly father? That never made sense to me. And
Mm-hmm.
then if I pray, why can't I ask questions to get guidance? And I did it anyways. But
Yeah.
still,
I I remember when I was 9 years old having to go to CCD and then telling me like the vengeance of God and how he will be angry because we didn't follow the 10 commandments and how I felt scared. Like that's
mm,
not you shouldn't feel scared. You
no.
that is not what you, the light that you are is not fear. It's not, it's not all of these negative polarizing feelings. It's not feeling guilty. It's not um I don't know. It's not all of those lower vibrational things. It's light, it's love, it's happiness. It is what sounds like the new age, but
Mm-hmm.
because people don't know what to do with that, they condemn it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not necessarily new age, it just is. It, light and energy is light and energy, whether it's the Bible or church or it's my tree and
Mm-hmm.
outside.
Yeah.
It's what you discern to be fitting for your sovereign self.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for watching. We hope that you enjoyed what we had to say. Lots of stuff came through today. So whew, just let it resonate and let it be seeds if you need it. Let it pull it into your heart space and just see where it goes from you. Any last words from you, Angie?
Just be yourself and try to focus in on the light within you to feel your feelings and to resonate from your heart.
Absolutely. So we'll definitely come together and do lots more videos together because, Lord, we activate each other. So we're sending you so much love and we hope you enjoy, and we will see you next time.